I've never seen a better basketball player than Michael Jordan. And I always use this analogy because I don't even put LeBron above Kobe.
LeBron is getting ready to pass Michael in the most 30-point games. To not have passed Michael in 30-point games, and he's played, I think he's on year 20, right? That he's still behind Michael and he's played 7 years longer.
LeBron's a nice guy. Nobody ever said that shit about Michael and Kobe. Yeah. No, and they're like, yo man, these dudes out here trying to kill people.
Or many NBA fans these days, one thing we're becoming sick of is the stale GOAT discussion, the idea that LeBron James is comparable to Jordan, and whether you look at Fox Sports, ESPN, or even LeBron James, they're constantly promoting the same old narrative that he's the best player in history.
That one right there made you the greatest player of all time.
I'm gonna take myself against anybody that's ever played this game.
No, he gotta call me like 2-3 or Bron.
Okay.
Or, GOAT if he want to.
The GOAT, respectfully, LeBron James.
G-O-A-T. What are you talking about?
Holzer. Long shot here, off.
The concept given that LeBron James's entire GOAT case earned the #1 rank, I reject EDF's face value because he and Jordan are 1A 1B interchangeable or even 1 and 2 all time. Since 2011 featured the biggest collapse, epic choke job into self-seek combustion on the grandest basketball stage, NBA history never actually got off the ground in the first place.
How can you be disengaged in the biggest game to put your foot on the Dallas Mavericks' neck and go up 3-1?
That 2011 series is the worst mistake, black mark, and stain on any Al legacy. It's worse than Kobe 04, it is unquestionably worse than all of those in its cycle, whether it is Steph in 2016 or Track Johnson in 1984. LeBron in 2011, he was the overwhelming favorite, had 2 All-Stars and 2 players in the top 10, and had declared himself the NBA's king with numerous titles at the outset. Naturally, he blew a 2-1 lead, losing to Jason Terry in the process.
Nowitzki wants the ball. Haslam again. Excellent ball denial. Terry, a long 3. Bang!
Are you doing as poorly as you can? I'm here to tell you guys that LeBron James had a number of major mistakes, failures, and disappointments prior to 2011. And in regards to LeBron versus Jordan, I want to be very clear about one thing. Many LeBron fans attribute that series to one bad moment, and that's all it was. Jordan before to 91 LeBron was choking, folding, and performing as the favorite prior to 2012. And he was staring at one of those forgotten choke jobs. Yes, he was losing, but Jordan, the individual player, was appearing in every series. In the 2010 series against Boston LeBron's Cavaliers, they were the favorites with the superior home court record and the higher seed anticipated to win and advance to the NBA Finals to face Kobe's Lakers. Of course, they were ahead 21 points after 3 games, and they were on their way, but in the final 3 games, LeBron James completely blew it, averaging 21.3 points per game, 34% shooting 15% from 3, and 6.3 turnovers. What fragrance is that?
LeBron James, struggling, very much so, especially in the first half. No field goals, 0 of 4.
That's the scent of desire, my lady. After leading 2 games against the Celtics, LeBron simply failed to show up for 3 consecutive games, which was utterly awful. For the self-proclaimed king, who wasn't even a queen, knight, or jester in the series, LeBron was a peasant, and he left Cleveland for the first of 2 times. If you want to say you're the best player of all time, it's extremely difficult to believe uncontested GOAT series like this. And when compared to Michael Jordan's career, yes, the Pistons had a 2-1 lead in 1989, but when you look at the total numbers when they blew that lead, Jordan's overall play production was far better than LeBron James's in his series versus LeBron series. Here's the additional context. Jordan 89 was the 6-seeded underdog without a home court. Advantage LeBron 2010 had all the advantages right, and we're looking at a series against Boston again. LeBron had an extremely dubious series in 2008, which was mediocre at best. What many LeBron fans do with this series is jump straight to Game 7 at the Boston Garden, where LeBron James had a fantastic game, scoring 45 points. As good as LeBron's stats were in this game, the big-time fourth-quarter moments really did not come through.
Into Wallace, back to James, a 3. Won't go.
Yo, watch out.
Advance to the conference finals. Pierce, House. Brown the jump shot.
With less than 40 seconds remaining, LeBron James had an opportunity to tie the game, even though those blondes were right there. What did he do? He made an airball layup.
Half minute to go. James looking on the drive, gets inside, tough shot, misses, and Garnett.
And when many LeBron fans watch this video, they'll say, well, taking Boston to Game 7 on its own is a big-time deal, and I guess so. But LeBron was just abysmal in those games under 24 points, nearly 6 turnovers, 32% shooting, and 21% from 3. The fact that LeBron played that bat was so atrocious, and it still went 7 is credit the Cavaliers team as a whole. To compare to Michael Jordan's MJ1 1990, when he led the Pistoners to 7 games, his production level play was infinitely higher than Detroit's, as he scored 32 points, 3 turnovers, 46% shooting, and had a game score of 25.1. My apologies, as I have stated often, every NBA player has lost a game or a series, but frequently it's how you lose and how you move on. In contrast to Jordan LeBron, this series was just not like Mike's Game 1 in Boston, 2 of 18 shooting misses and game-tying layup.
It's LeBron's turn with the rock guarded by James Posey. Z comes to the screen. LeBron gets by the finger off of the tie. How did he miss?
Australia's second game at the Boston Garden. Even with LeBron James averaging 18 points per game and 5 turnovers on 25% shooting, the Cavaliers were even with the powerful Boston Celtics in Game 3, 31%, Game 4, 35%, and Game 5, 35%. It simply doesn't make up. LeBron James frequently had these games where he failed to perform offensively. When considering his free championship days, he shot less than 35% in 15 games overall. In 07, he had 5 of them. In 2008, he had 4 of them in a row, and in 2011, he had 2. Only 4 of Michael Jordan's 6 games prior to his championship had shooting below 35%. I want to emphasize that LeBron and Michael Jordan were very different players before their championships. If you rank their worst playoff series from lowest to highest by game score and advanced metric, you'll see that LeBron and Boston alone equaled MJ in 6 different years. Also, compared to Jordan, LeBron James has 8 of the 10 lowest finishes, including the top 6. The lowest, of course, is 0-7 against the Spurs, followed by Dallas and Boston, and 0-6 against the Pistons. 2007 against the Nets and 2011 against Boston. Even though 1988 against the Pistons was MJ's worst series overall prior to the championship, it was still superior to 6 separate LeBron series prior to his title days, which is why he is the GOAT. Moving past their worst pre-championship series, let's examine their best series and see who placed highest among the top 10. Michael Jordan had all 5 of the top 5, including 90 versus Philadelphia and 88 versus Cleveland, and 6 of the 10. 89 versus the Knicks, what does that indicate for us right there? Against the Cavaliers in 89 and Boston in 86? Michael Jordan's pre-championship highs were significantly higher than LeBron James's, and LeBron's pre-championship lows were significantly lower and more devastating than any of Jordan's worst series. I also have to mention which player had the worst duds and the biggest black marks in a single playoff game prior to the championship. Game 3 against Detroit in 1988 was Michael Jordan's worst overall pre-championship game. His score was 12.9. That's not great now, but when you compare it to LeBron James's game scores of 13 and under, which are pretty bad games for a superstar, LeBron James had not 1, not 2, not 3, but 9 different games that were worse than Jordan's worst game. Of course, looking at that list, LeBron versus Boston had a negative game score, something Jordan never did in any of his playoff games. You stink staying with Jordan quickly. LeBron James' second worst game by game score prior to the championship, and the series he lost was 13.9 against the Pistons in Game 4 of 1989. Given that list, he had a thumping 13 games with a game score below 14, including the Spurs series in 2007 and the Mavericks series, where he just failed to show up and perform like a superstar. If James on the D fires a boo this man, and to kind of going full circle, let's look at that Mavericks series. He had 4 games in that series with a game score below 14, and again, Michael Jordan only had 2 of those in a series that he lost. LeBron James had 4 of those in a row, back-to-back. Jordan's games weren't in the same year, the same series, let alone back-to-back games for a guy like LeBron James in 2011, who was 26 years old, 2-time MVP, and some of the best player in the world. His performance on the biggest stage is just inexcusable. 5 points is the average for games 2 and 2. 0% shooting is terrible, and they only scored 2 points in Game 3. Terrible game with 0 points in Game 5. 0% shooting is the worst to the worst, 2 points. For straight games, there is a 25% shooting rate. You can't name a single instance or series in Michael Jordan's playoff career when he cost his team a championship and took away a ring because LeBron James was absent in the fourth quarter when this team had the chance to win all those games. Oh, he's kidding. That concludes the video, and I'll say one last thing. Michael Jordan's pre-championship days are often forgotten, trashed, and underappreciated, but when you look at them, you can see that he had countless incredible series and moments where he delivered big-time performances for his Bulls team, and LeBron James didn't have nearly as many mistakes, failures, or blackouts. Mar resumes either before or after the championship. As always, I appreciate your time and hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.